From the W. Page Pitt School of Journalism and Mass Communications, your home for the latest Marshall University news and sports, you're watching MU Report.
Good afternoon, and thanks for joining us for this fourth edition of MU Report Spring 2018. I'm Kyra Biscarner.
And I'm Ryan Murphy. We're a student-produced newscast of the W. Page Pitt School of Journalism and Mass Communications at Marshall University. We air this broadcast not only on West Virginia Public Broadcasting, but also Network West Virginia and YouTube. And we're glad you're watching. Now, onto our top story.
For the third time in as many years, Marshall administrators and student government are trying to keep concealed firearms off the campus. The West Virginia legislature has again introduced a bill that would turn campuses to permit zones instead of gun-free. As Brooke Griffin reports, many lawmakers support the change, but many students and faculty do not.
Next time you're walking across campus, would you feel more or feel less secure knowing that the person next to you has a gun? A new bill up for debate by state lawmakers in West Virginia would potentially clear the path for a concealed carry permit on all West Virginia campuses. The bill was introduced to the House and has been greeted by mixed feelings.
I think of Second Amendment as just as much a civil right as what we think of as civil rights is. You have the civil right to protect yourself. You don't have a civil right to endanger others. But if you're a responsible gun owner, you don't endanger others. You defend yourself and those you love.
Fall back upon the fact this is just not the environment for it. The age, and with this, you throw in alcohol, you throw in drugs. So we have you have a 10% teapot that's ready to go off if you have those factors there.
Some students say they will have an entire new outlook on their home away from home if the bill passes.
Honestly, I might spend a little less time on campus around, the student center or playing out so I don't have to spend much time walking to class, leave as late as I can, get out as early as possible. I'll be scared for sure.
If passed, the bill would specify that in order to conceal carry on campus, the person would have to be 21 years of age, have a gun permit, and have a West Virginia state ID. There were some social media users who didn't want to go on camera but did show their approval of the bill through comments. Jonathan Holland says, quote, "I'm sorry, but students should have the right to be able to exercise our constitutional right." House Bill 4298 has been in the House Judiciary since February 12th, leaving students and faculty saying they are anxiously waiting a decision.
Even if the bill were to pass that would allow guns to be on West Virginia campuses, administrators say that they hope that people would get proper training, like so. Brooke Griffin, MU Report.
It's not clear if the concealed carry permit change will make it into law, and it's not just Marshall that opposes it. Other West Virginia colleges and universities have voiced opposition as well. As constructed, the bill requires the carrier to be 21, have the concealed permit, and a West Virginia ID.
The Weapons on Campus bill is also a big part of the debate at Marshall in the upcoming student government elections. It's not the only issue, but as Courtney Andrews reports, the many newcomers to campus politics are talking about it.
Although not as mainstream or plagued with as much turmoil, Marshall student government elections are as crucial to Marshall students just as any election is to its constituents.
SGA is the voice of the students.
We're here to voice the concerns. We're here for the student body.
This year's election is different than in years past. There's the first all-female ticket, as well as a ticket whose candidates are not previous members of SGA.
Of the 4 teams, we're the only team that is currently not in SGA.
We are the first ever double female ticket to run.
We're trying to provide tangible solutions. We really appreciate all the Marshall's done for us, and we just want to give back in the best way we know how.
Whichever ticket wins the election, the newly elected president will have a seat on Marshall's Board of Governors.
You have to elect someone that you think is going to represent you well and actually speak from their hearts and actually care and aren't just doing it for a title.
We're not here to win the positions. We're here to be a representative for you.
Marshall students have the ability to hear each ticket's platforms and plans through a series of debates. The first one took place March 5th, but the next is planned for March 12th. Courtney Andrews, MU Report.
SGA candidates also talked about being inclusive for all, such as students with disabilities. Some students have a more difficult time accessing higher education due to social challenges that come with crowded campuses. As Rebecca Turnbull reports, more than 50 students on Marshall's campus are working to understand the unspoken social rules we live by.
From the outside, Bill looks like your average student, but he has a more unique reason than most for why he chose Marshall University.
This place had a support group for students with autism.
The support group Bill goes to is run by the West Virginia Autism Training Center. Director Mark Ellison says the center helps to solve a problem colleges around the nation have increasingly been facing.
The influx of students into higher ed in the last 10 years has been phenomenal, and colleges and universities across the country are really uncertain how to best support them. So the importance of this program for us is to help folks who otherwise might not do well in college but have tremendous potential.
One way the center does this is through peer counseling, which allows autistic students at Marshall to discuss the unspoken social rules they sometimes struggle with.
We hit it from all sides, where they're viewing a role play video, then they're actually doing the role plays together, and we're talking about it and why it's important in a social context. And when they have all of that, I think it builds a lot of confidence.
And it takes that confidence for autistic students to navigate noisy social environments on campus like here at the Student Center, especially when it comes to meeting new people.
Sometimes it's difficult to, when you're just, when you're meeting someone, it's just like, what should I say? And it's always good to get some guidance behind what should be done and what should be said.
As for students without autism, those in the peer counseling program say staying patient and open-minded when meeting someone on the autism spectrum goes a long way.
It all depends on the person. So, keep an open mind and try not to take things for granted.
Those at the Autism Training Center say those healthy interactions are often the strongest factor in helping autistic students feel at home. Rebecca Turnbull, MU Report.
The West Virginia Autism Training Center's office at Marshall is in Old Main. And organizers say any student can always drop by to learn more about autism and how to help autistic peers adjust to campus life.
The West Virginia teacher strike has come to an end after much negotiation and loud protest. As Brooke Griffin reports, the Capitol building is no longer stuffed to capacity now that lawmakers seem to have given in to teachers' demands.
After a 9-day strike, the Capitol is empty.
Because I do believe we've created history today.
And the classrooms are full after the House and Senate passed a bill on Tuesday that will give West Virginia teachers, service personnel, and state police a 5% raise.
Today is a new day for education in West Virginia. We will move forward. No more looking back. West Virginia renews its investment in education and our precious children today.
And everybody we talked to and we met with, they were saying, this is going to happen, it's going to happen. But we had been told that before, so it was just really scary. We didn't know what to believe.
Although this bill does allow the 5% raise that was demanded, the PEIA premiums will still remain indefinitely frozen. Teachers say that they are looking forward to meeting with the governor's PEIA task force in the near future to discuss solutions.
You need to fight for what you believe in. If you think you can do it, you can. So we had to fight hard for what we wanted, and we got it done.
Schools in all 55 counties were officially back open on a normal schedule Wednesday morning, with educators boasting victory in their fight for a better future.
Teachers say that they are happy to be back in school, but more importantly, they say that they are happy to be back in their schools instead of on the Capitol steps. They say that even though that they did stand for what they believe in, they are happy to be standing back in their classrooms. Brooke Griffin, MU Report.
Parents are still raising questions about how and when their students will make up the days lost in the strike. Education leaders say they're working on solutions that will try to accommodate everyone.
The end of that longer than expected strike coincided with a recruiting expo targeting teachers. The recruiting fair was already scheduled, and as Adam Stevens reports, that's partly because West Virginia counties have hundreds of unfilled teaching jobs.
For these school systems, the goal is to turn the student into the teacher.
We are here to try to grab some awesome teachers from Marshall University.
The annual Teacher Expo took place in the Student Center on Marshall's campus, giving school systems a chance to recruit education majors to eventually teach at their schools.
Education's the foundation of everything, whether it's your career or your love of learning or your love of reading or whatever it is as an adult. So in order to have an education system that's successful, we want to recruit and retain high-quality teachers.
We've got to go ahead and have a good, strong basis for your education. And I think the kids have seen that teachers will stand up for themselves. They will not just sit back. We're all about caring for kids, but we also need to make sure that we say we care about a profession enough to invest in the future.
School systems from not only West Virginia but other states as well spoke with future teachers about how their school systems would help them inspire students through education.
You don't know when you're going to find that diamond in the rough. So you have to go other places. You never know who might be inspired to come to a place like Charlottesville, who may love that area, who may want to leave here to experience something different.
For the school systems at the Teacher Expo, it's about finding the best teachers to fill the classrooms. Adam Stevens, MU Report.
The strike put a spotlight on West Virginia's ranking as 48th in teacher pay and in the top 5% for administrators. Pay is one factor recruiters say makes it difficult to hire graduating college students. Turning to more philanthropic events, Marshall University recently announced they will partner with local nonprofit organizations for the annual Empty Bowls fundraising event, April 13th. Community members are invited to purchase bowls created by Marshall art students and other volunteers. All proceeds will go to the Huntington Area Food Bank. It is estimated the event has raised $15,000 in the event's 15-year history, providing more than 1 million meals. Over 800 bowls are completed and more are in the works. For more information, contact Frederick Bartolovic by email at bartolovicf@marshall.edu.
The month of March is dedicated to a celebration of women's history. The Women of Color Awards Luncheon aimed to celebrate the roles of impactful women of color in the Marshall and Huntington community.
Where in society did we institutionalize him to believe that it was so far worse to lose to a girl than to his peer boys?
Inclusivity, pride, acceptance. These are all themes the Women of Color Committee say they incorporated into the annual Women of Color Day Luncheon, where women of color throughout the community and Marshall's campus were recognized for their work and leadership roles. Shantae Polk says that events like the Women of Color Day Luncheon are important because they bring the accomplishments of women of color out of the background where they all too often end up and into the forefront.
Because it's so many times where our women of color fade to the background, kind of go unnoticed. And I think programs like this that highlight those strong women in our community, on our campus, and even students are great. It's wonderful to show that we are still present, that we are still here, and that we are still doing great work no matter where we are.
Awards were handed out to 3 women of color, nominated and recognized by their peers for their hard work and dedication to bettering their communities.
The committee say they wanted to recognize women of color all throughout the community and campus from all different types of backgrounds.
So in order for university like Marshall to thrive and successful, we have to diversify the campus. And in order to do that, we have to give women of color or students of color more resources and opportunity, because oftentimes we just don't.
The Women of Color Committee say they received the most nominations they have ever received this year, and that they are hoping for even more next year.
That's all the time we have for this edition of MU Report. Our newscast is completely generated by students in the W. Page Pitt School of Journalism and Mass Communications. MU Report is a television lab, and we are glad you're watching. You can always catch this newscast on YouTube. And be sure to follow our reporters on Twitter and MU Report on Facebook. I'm Kyra Biscarner.
And I'm Ryan Murphy. Have a great day.